It's Friday night, which means it's time for another episode of the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. I'm Ashli.
And I'm Casey. Last time we did our third episode of our Avatar discussion. It was a super fun one, and we are just getting more and more into this Avatar rewatch.
We also put out our weekly Twitter poll asking which episode of Avatar The Last Airbender has been your favorite so far. So out of those first three, The Boy in the Iceberg, The Avatar Returns, and The Southern Air Temple. And not too surprisingly, Southern Air Temple won out with 71% of the vote, so quite a majority there. Boy in the Iceberg had 13, and The Avatar Returns had 16. So pretty solid win by the Southern Air Temple, and well-deserved, too. I feel like this is when the show really starts picking up. It really starts getting real, you know?
It does, and I'm not surprised by the order, but I am surprised by the degree, I will say. Almost 3 out of every 4 votes were for the Southern Air Temple, so I guess people tend to agree with us from last time, or me at least. I shouldn't speak for you. I don't know how you voted.
No, I voted for the same one as well. I think the pilot is you know, it gets the job done for a pilot, but it's not. Again, it doesn't get quite as deep as we start getting into Southern Air Temple. It's when it really starts coming together, just what's going on.
Absolutely. But this week, we are back to Rocket Power. This one's the Season 2 finale. It's a fun little episode. This probably won't be a long discussion, but I think it'll be fun and especially necessary in terms of where we are in Avatar to just have kind of a light, fun filler.
See, Casey, I disagree. I think we're actually going to get really deep into this one. I think that this might be even more intense than last week's Southern Air Temple episode, because there's just so much going on here that the plot is
it really draws on like the pathos that Shakespeare establishes in Othello. I'll have lots of comparisons to make.
But Rocket Power is always just a good thing to come back to. And I was just saying too, I'm actually in Santa Monica right now for work, and I was walking through the pier, and it all felt so Rocket Power. There was a whole bunch of people skateboarding past me. And it's all coming together right now, and so hopefully you guys can get in a Rocket Power mood as well. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and review us on Apple Podcasts so that others can find the show.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now let's get started.
From the Nicktoon Animation Studio in Hollywood.
Alright, as we said, this week's episode is from Rocket Power. It's called Womp Race 2000. It's Season 2, Episode 20B, that season's finale, and it originally aired on April 7th, 2001, my youngest brother's exact birthday, so that's wild.
Oh, no way. Well, he came at a great time when a very intense episode was coming along here.
He never had to know a world without Womp Race 2000. He's so lucky.
And in this one, a newly paved road inspires a dangerous skateboarding race, and it's sort of a situation about who gets to name this newly paved hill that's just perfect for skateboarding down. And there's some Lars and gang rivalry that comes in a little bit there too, but essentially it's as generically Rocket Power as we can get.
Yep, and it's great. It captures a few decades because it uses which Rocket Power does a lot, it uses the 80s trope of like the big hill and the big race, and it's a show that feels very 90s but that actually aired at this point in 2001, so all sorts of eras going on here.
Yeah, it's as Rocket Power does. We start out, and it's a recurring theme, I would say, of Squid not being good at athletic things, pretty much.
And they're just razzing him. Everyone but Reg is being so mean, especially Twister.
Yeah, he's trying to grind on some rail or something, and he's like, "I stink at grinding," and then is it Twister who says the next line there?
Yeah, Twister does.
Yeah, no, Squid, you stink at skateboarding. Just
Oh.
completely wrecking him.
And the way he says no, Squid, makes it sound like he's gonna be a supportive friend and be like, no, you're not that bad. But it's like, no, you stink at the whole thing.
Yep, you're just trash, basically. Which, I mean, he's not doing his best, but, like, you know, Squid, and you kind of feel it from the beginning, right? And I'm hoping this doesn't spoil too much of this crazy episode here, but, like, usually anytime it starts out like this, you know Squid's gonna end up saving the day somehow, right? That's just how this goes.
It's set up, yeah. And that these kids talk to each other like modern kids talk to each other on Fortnite. Just all, you're trash. There's a lot less language, but there's the similar sort of razzing at like your entire self-worth is just established on some arbitrary, meaningless skill.
Hey, skateboarding here, Casey, is within the Rocket Power world is pretty much the most important thing that anybody can do.
Oh, well, so is Fortnite in our world. I'm not saying it's wrong.
We're actually encouraging it.
Yeah, right. And Sam, Squid acknowledges it. He goes, I know I stink at grinding, okay? And Twister goes, okay. Like, really cheerily.
And I just feel bad for Squid. I do, because he came from the Midwest, right? That's what this is. And
yeah, we don't really
so
board in the Midwest. Not
yeah,
well.
he's just doing his best to start up here, and they're always bringing him down. But pretty quickly, and they find this newly paved hill, and they're super excited about it. Like, I don't remember all the things that they say, but they're just talking about how once the pavement has set, they're going to go down this hill, and Otto says it should be called, I don't remember, it's like Otto Hill or something like that. And right on cue, the Lars gang shows up, and Lars is like, basically just says, like, well, we get to name it because we're the cool kids here, we're the old kids here. And that, I also like, like, they're just going back talking about who gets to name it, and then Lars says, well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? And Otto's like, I don't have any money.
I didn't catch that. That's really good. What a great line.
It almost just, like, it was so honest,
Yeah.
Like, he's a kid. He just doesn't. Anyways.
Oh, that's good stuff. And yeah, then we get the Lars gang, and they're just a despicable bunch.
Lars he's such a gross looking person. Like, he just
Yeah.
looks greasy overall.
Yep. And I had a moment in this episode where I was like, I don't think I had seen it. And then Lars goes, you're gonna lose. And suddenly it, like, took me back to my living room when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, I remember watching this episode. Like, you ever have that where an audio clip is all it takes to take you back to a different time?
Yeah, I hear you. And I feel like just him being all Lars about it and taunting them. And I feel like, have we talked about Lars's gang at all in any of the previous episodes? I feel like not much. If we have.
talked. They had that hockey game against them in another episode.
Oh,
we
you're right.
watched,
You're right.
But that's about it.
But they are just your typical gross group going in.
And it's like the teenagers antagonizing the preteens. It's a very common sort of thing.
Yeah, we see a similar deal in Hey Arnold with Wolfgang and co. We've got Cat Dog's got their gang going on. We definitely see this.
The greasers.
Look at these. They're always just larger, grosser looking people.
That's
picking on
true.
the little kids.
In whatever world it is. Yeah, I'm trying to think if Angry Beavers has like a major bully.
Not that we've seen, I don't think, right?
I think they bully themselves enough.
Oh yeah, they're pretty awful to each other, to be fair. A little bit worse than Cat Dog get. They usually get irritated, but
Yeah. Need to do what'll now be a weekly segment. It's the Nicktoon headgear segment. It won't be, but I do have two pieces of Rocket Power hats and the like that I need to comment on. Squid's shark helmet while he boards is really cute. The fact that he wears a helmet unlike the other kids, and I think they all wear helmets at some point to be like, helmets are cool, kids, but they don't always. And Squid's shark helmet is adorable. That's all.
Agreed.
And Twister, when he removes his funky cap, it looks like he has some sort of Animal Crossing haircut. It's like short and orange with a little flip on the top. It's like, I think I've had that haircut in Animal Crossing New Leaf.
I feel like I got it when I decided that a boyish pixie cut would look good on me.
Yeah, you really never know what you're going to get with her, with Shampoodle.
Yeah, I remember seeing like a comic, something about like where somebody goes into the hair salon and they're like, I just want a little bit off the top, and she's like, yeah, but what do you see yourself as?
Yeah, her total arbitrary haircut personality type thing.
What music do you listen to? You know? It's like, thank God that's not how actual haircuts work.
Oh,
but,
could you imagine? Yeah, and you're like trying not to cry at the end. You're like, it's great, I love it.
At least in Animal Crossing, though, you can always just reverse it the next day. We also don't quite have
true.
that look going. But
Yeah,
anyways.
the hair gets longer somehow.
So they decide that they're going to have this race off. It's the rules are a little unclear. I know that they're racing like it's like one of Otto's gang versus one of Lars' gang at a time. But honestly, I'm not really entirely sure as to like how you determine who wins this. It's like whoever gets further wins that round or something. I don't really know. Or is it just whoever gets down the hill first wins?
Well, because
I don't really remember.
They go in pairs, and I think it's
Right.
like, I don't know what they would have done if they had tied 2 and 2.
Yeah, they just had it, right? So, like, it worked out fine. But, like,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, the logic wasn't totally there. But then they were
No.
also, like, if if Twister makes it to the bottom of the hill, then we win, and Squid doesn't have to race.
Right, yeah, I didn't...
And I was like, based on what? I don't
right.
know.
Didn't make sense. But
They had some ground rules that we missed out on, but, sure.
kid logic, I suppose. But I love the, like, surf music as he goes down the hill, that, like, super reverby guitar, very, like the beginning of Pump It by the Black Eyed Peas, that sort of sample. As they're going down the hill, and there's some massive wipeouts, and then basically, well, first of all, Eddie, the mask kid, does the countdown. We get a little cameo from him. That was great.
Yeah, I love whenever that kid shows up, and he usually breaks character somewhere in there, right between him
Yeah.
acting like he's the
'Cause he's a
spooky
wimp.
whatever he
Yeah.
is. Yeah, oh, he totally is.
He was great in the Capture the Flag episode, too.
Everything was great in the Capture the Flag episode.
Yeah. And then, so the policewoman, like, bans skateboarding on the hill. She stops them just before Sam goes, and he thanks her. And she keeps calling them Munchkin, which I thought was funny. She's your sort of classic Klasky Chupo one-off character who just has one oddly specific characteristic, and for this cop, it's saying the word Munchkin a bunch of times.
Yeah, I feel like she shows up other places, too. She felt familiar enough that I feel like she shows
Right.
up in a
Could
few
be.
episodes. But I could be
could
wrong.
be.
I don't know. She like brought back some sense of like I feel like you're around. But
Well, and she
either
did
way,
say, like, give Ray my best, or tell him I said hi, so she might have a little crush, or maybe they're dating.
yeah,
Who knows?
we never really get into Ray's love life much, as far as I know. Who knows?
Yeah, but it feels weird that she specifically mentions him, so that's maybe a different episode.
Yeah. Either way, of course, Sam thinks that he's good to go. He thinks it's just gonna be fine, and what do you know?
Yeah, they do it anyway, right?
Yeah, and he ends up getting a little bit hurt, just a little bit in an entire body cast, which is also such a cartoon thing, I feel like.
It is. Yeah, and they visit him in the hospital. But actually, I don't know if he had to do the fourth race. Like, I think they were all about ready to give up, and then they were like, Squid, you lucked out. And he says, I sure did. And they keep teasing him, and he finally just snaps. He goes, you know what? I am going to go down there. And yeah, he does, and it's glorious, and he has this cute, he goes, I'm okay at the end. Like, not even in a, like, I'm gonna survive my injuries, but like, I did the scary thing and I didn't die. And like, it's a big episode of him conquering his fear.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of interesting though, right? Like, is it really necessarily the best lesson? Like, conquer your fear and do the stupid, very dangerous thing that your friends are doing.
That's true.
Because then you'll get a cooler nickname.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which isn't even a good nickname. They call him, what, Sam the Man?
Sam Man. Just straight up Sam Man.
Yeah, it's really not good, but they love it. They're like, yeah, Sam Man. What's up, Sam Man? I don't think they ever use it again.
I was going to say, I was wondering that too. I was like, I feel like he goes back to Squid, right?
Yeah.
I feel like season 2 is not the end of Squid. I feel like it couldn't be. They come up with a couple other even worse nicknames and then fall upon Sam Man in the end, so... It's, I don't know if we're teaching our kids the best lessons in Rocket Power all the time, but it was a cute episode overall. I had fun with it. Again, just your standard Rocket Power episode to get some good Lars action in there, get some good skateboarding action in there, and not a whole lot else to say, really.
Yeah, it's just a fun summer type show. Like, they're rarely in school. It's just nice when it's hot out and you got the air conditioning on. Just watch some Rocket Power. It really takes you to that West Coast vibe like you're probably feeling right now.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy here. I was a little disappointed, but still feeling the West Coast vibe nonetheless. Still seeing the skateboarders going all around, and I was like, this is what Rocket Power's daily life is like. They got the pier and everything. It just feels like I'm in Rocket Power right now, guys.
Totally. And we have our buddy Eric Casimiro as the executive producer who's credited at the end of the episode. That was exciting to see his name and be like, oh, we know some of these people now.
Yeah, such a fun little. I feel like it's kind of like a tight knit circle in the Klasky world back there.
For sure, and you can absolutely hear it in the minor characters. They use the same, 3 actors for all of the minor characters. Speaking of Klasky Chupa, we got to talk about this Rugrats situation.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Totally
unexpected. We should talk about the... Well, we'll get to... Also, SpongeBob musical, right? Gotta give that a nod,
yes.
too. We got a lot of things,
Let's add a news segment to the conclusion.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll give you both of those news stories in a second. In terms of the episode at hand, that's about all I've got. It's just a cute, fun episode doesn't have the best message, but it has a lot of childhood wonder and that thing that was so exciting about summer vacation where you were just free to do whatever you wanted. And yeah, those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were. And it's got all the arbitrary little things that just make Rocket Power and make you feel like bring you back to the days of when you were younger and whatnot. So definitely enjoyed this one. Not the most exciting episode we've watched of Rocket Power by any means, but a solid watch nonetheless. With that, are you ready to move forward to the conclusion?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright guys, our Twitter poll for this week is which group of antagonists was more evil? Lars and his friends, the Greasers from Cat Dog, or Wolfgang from Hey Arnold? So we've got those 3 sort of crews going around here, and honestly, I'm not sure. I have to think on this one as far as evil goes. They all do kind of different, equally arbitrary mean things, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look back and think on this one a little.
Yeah, I will as well. They're all pretty despicable.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be back to our Avatar The Last Airbender episode with the 4th episode called The Warriors of Kyoshi. Very excited for this one.
Me too. Things are going to start picking up, guys. So if you're long, be sure to hit up that episode 4. Also, be sure to find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all those good spots to be.
Absolutely. And we do have some news, not podcast related, but Nickelodeon related. Rugrats is coming back with a TV show just on Nickelodeon again, not Netflix, not whatever. I don't really know how I feel about this. And they're also going to have a live action movie in theaters. Are we going to get some CGI babies, Ashli?
I don't even know. I mean, I always have high hopes for these things, and we've talked about, with the Hey Arnold sort of revival there for the one episode, and we had the have Rocco's and Invader Zim still coming up. But I feel like it's weird for it to have, because I think it's like 25 episodes or something that it's confirmed for.
Yeah, something like that. And like it won't be worse than preschool days, so we at least have that.
It absolutely can't be. So we at least have a low bar, right? Like it.
And in my book, the only actively bad show that Klasky Csupo ever made was All Grown Up. All Real Monsters is fine, and the rest are good to great in my book. So I think there's reason to have hope for this.
Yeah, and I just think it's kind of cool to, anytime that something like this far back gets brought back, I think it's interesting to watch, right? Obviously we're both pretty big into the nostalgia feels here, and I like to see the newer takes, so we will obviously be covering it when it comes out. I know we tend to keep things on the older series, but I feel like this counts in this case as being an older series being brought back is worth us talking about as well.
Yeah, and SpongeBob the Musical will close, I think, in the end of August. So that's coming up. That's a bummer, but it is going to tour. So a lot of you guys will be able to see it if you weren't planning on getting to the New York area. So go check out that tour when it comes around in 2019. It's going to be a blast.
And absolutely worth your time. If you're anywhere nearby where it's touring, highly recommend going to see this show. We talked about it a bit on our live stream. We still got the podcast out on that one. So lots of excitement going on in that show. It's such a blast. If you love SpongeBob, you'll love it. Sad that it's closing off on Broadway, but I'm glad that it had its run for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to have a life. So yeah, lots of Nickelodeon things are happening that are relevant to us. So it's an exciting time, and we'll keep you guys updated, and we'll probably have to cover some of the new Rugrats when the time comes.
Yeah, we absolutely should. I said, we'll cover the new Rocco's, the new Invader Zim as well when those come out. I forget, because I thought they were sometime in this calendar year, but it could be off. Anyways.
Rocco's is this fall.
Okay. This is
I don't know
is
if
me
they have a
being on
date
top of
for
things.
either yet.
Either way, when they come, we'll be sure to keep it covered, keep you guys in the loop. All of that being said, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.